Welcome to the Veterans Cafe Podcast, Episode 2. Alright, so welcome to the second episode of the Veterans Cafe Podcast. I'm Wes.
I'm Tracy.
And like we had talked about in the first podcast, we actually wanted to start off by talking a little bit about everything, the controversy that is surrounding Michael Stokes. Michael Stokes is a professional photographer who's pretty widely known, right?
Incredibly.
So he has quite a reputation as a photographer. And if you've actually
Facebook alone is like 275,000 followers.
Right. So, and if you've ever actually seen his pictures, regardless of how you feel about the content, he takes seriously amazing photographs. And the pictures that we were really focused on were pictures of veterans who had come back from the war, disabled, but still managed to not only be just, reintegrate themselves and rehabilitate themselves both mentally and physically, but, succeed beyond their wildest imaginations, I would think. So that's one of the reasons we really wanted to focus on this whole controversy.
Most definitely. I found Michael Stokes from, I'm on Facebook a lot, and I'm a huge fan of social media, and it's just important in so many ways. And Alex Minsky is a Marine who was injured in 2009, and I believe he hadn't been in the Marines for very long, which makes it kind of like ironic, so to speak, or just that he got injured from an IED, and he lost a limb, and he won a Purple Heart, and that alone is incredible to me. But he was very young at the time when it happened, and he has turned his life around, and he had no aspirations before joining the Marines of becoming a model, and he's become a model, and he's been like on Barbara Walters and different like morning talk shows, and I think he's an amazing individual to begin with, and his name is Alex Minsky, so I definitely encourage everybody to take a look at his website and his Facebook page and things like that. But because of his images and what he has done with his life, I found Michael Stokes, and Michael Stokes focuses a lot on the male body and models, and he's photographed veterans most definitely, and he's photographed firefighters and just individuals, and I find his work inspiring. And as a photographer, I'm always looking for other people's visions for inspiration and motivation, and I think his work is amazing. And I love Facebook, and as I said, I love social media, and the fact that his images have been censored just breaks my heart, and I find it so frustrating.
Right, and even though we talk about this issue like it's a censorship issue or a free speech issue, we understand obviously that Facebook is a company and they are allowed to have posted or have not posted anything that they please. Of course it's their company; they can take down or put up whatever they want. And we do understand that, but we feel like, if you're going to tout yourself as a social media platform, someone who is basically in the internet age going to...
And you want to be fair, right?
And you want to be considered a beacon of free speech. How can you start taking down photos like this?
Of a veteran.
Right, of veterans in amazing photos.
That does not have full nudity, but you allow celebrities.
Lunacy.
Yeah.
It's lunacy what they allow on Facebook. I mean, there are people who, all this cyberbullying stuff that is going on, all these people like Kim Kardashian and all this posting their photos, but they allow that to go on, and they just don't care. But then when something like this comes along, veterans who are, partially nude, but not nude in a way that, that would violate, it would
their
still be like
Facebook.
a PG-13 movie if they were in a movie, right?
That's the thing that frustrates me is, obviously everybody can take a look and Google on their own and things like that. But, I just find it frustrating that a company that I love, which is Facebook, and I love their missions and their goals, but I just find it frustrating that they're not following their own guidelines, when it comes to nudity. And it just comes down to, in my personal opinion, it's not about nudity. It's about the way they view some of the images, because Michael Stokes, photographs on the male body, and a lot of people are speculating it's, homosexuality, and I just don't think it's their right or their place to eliminate some of these images.
Well, legally they can, but, ethically, how could they do it? It's an ethical question, somewhat, more than like a legal thing.
But they're not calling it like it is. That's what frustrates me. They're saying it's nudity, and it's not nudity.
Right, and that's obvious. That's the controversy, and
that's what angers me.
So for
that's
me,
why I wanted to mention it.
It's an ethical thing, right? It's an integrity thing.
No, I agree. And of course, it's a veteran issue because there are some veterans that have been photographed, and of course,
right. And these
support the veterans.
And these veterans, regardless of the pictures and regardless of what you think about them, they're amazing. These veterans have come back and gone through hell and still managed to rehabilitate themselves
in more ways than any of us can even imagine,
mentally and physically. And they are beyond successful, and
they're inspiring.
Right, and for not just for veterans, not just for injured veterans, but for artists as well. Up and coming photographers and artists or even models that see these guys and see this photographer doing the work that they're doing.
Or really just the average, civilian who's just, getting older, maybe their metabolism is slowing down. I don't know. I just think it's inspiring to see images of what certain individuals have, overcome.
Right, because these guys are, super fit, right? So
yes, and they, and they're, unfortunately, have made sacrifices and lost limbs and things like that. And I just think I personally find it inspiring on many different levels. The images themselves and then just the motivation. And I don't know. I wanted to mention it because, I'm not a fan of censorship in any way whatsoever. And I'm in the Army and I wear the uniform, and I understand that sometimes I have to be censored. But I don't know. I just don't think we should be censored, specifically with art. Art is so important.
Yeah, it's true, and it just shows. It really shows that that when it comes to this kind of stuff, this guy is obviously being targeted because he's a huge figure, right? So.
Yeah.
They can't, Facebook, honestly, it's just like YouTube, YouTube with the copyright music thing, right? They can't catch every little YouTube video that goes up that's violating some copyright law because they use somebody else's music. Well, Facebook probably can't catch every single photo that goes up and whatnot, but this guy has 250,000 followers, so they target him.
Yeah.
But they have no excuse to do so, because there are other public figures like him, even bigger than him, who post just ludicrous stuff, and they're still allowed to do it, and it's frankly, it's annoying. And I follow a couple of pages on Facebook, and every once in a while a person will be banned that I'll see from some group or something that I'm following for just ridiculousness, even though all this what they call hate crime stuff is going on Facebook. Revolutions have been started on Facebook, over in Europe, and
which is actually pretty awesome.
It is awesome, but now they're pulling. How are they going to allow that to happen? And then start pulling down these photos. It just makes no sense to me. And
because I think these veterans coming back should be proud of their accomplishments. That's, I think, what angers me the most.
Yeah, they should be, and I think that they are, and that's why they're speaking out about it, and they're supporting the photographer for doing that. So. All this for me, all this really is that this Facebook team needs to come out and have some type of serious justification for what they're doing. And what sucks about it is that Facebook right now is so popular, and it's the most widely used social media platform, that it's really impossible for us to in any way boycott it or to do something to say, to hell with you, Facebook, because they're whatever everywhere. Billion users.
And they're tied to everywhere.
Right. So.
And I love them. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm on it a lot. And I don't know. I think the specific department that is focusing on certain images, whether it's the nudity or, claims of homosexuality or what have you, I don't know. I would just like those individuals, whoever they are, just to reevaluate what they're editing.
Right. We both love Facebook. If you're listening to this podcast right now, you probably found us through Facebook.
Yeah.
So we love Facebook. We think it's awesome,
censorship is just not good.
We just want that. This whole thing started, at least seemingly, as something that people could worldwide, globally, we could all connect and we could all talk, and it was no big deal. Obviously, they need to censor some things. People don't want pornographic stuff showing up on there, and it may be a little bit of a gray area when it comes to what's right and what's wrong with all this kind of stuff.
Because then it comes down to who says what's right, wrong. But
right, but
that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah, but it's still what it really boils down to is if you're not following this guy or you're not friends with this guy, you're not going to see it in the first place.
You don't have to ban them and like limit their use.
Exactly, you know. I mean,
that's what angers me.
It just makes no sense to us, and so all we would like to see is a little bit of justification.
So, you know, talking about veterans and, you know, people who inspire me, and a lot of times with social media, whether it's Facebook or not, a lot of times, you know, as someone who has been I was a full-time personal trainer for a while and a CrossFit affiliate, and I don't know, there's a lot of people that I look for inspiration and motivation, and ironically, well, maybe ironically is not the good word, but one of the individuals who inspires me on a fairly regular basis, I'm very lucky I have quite a few of them, is one of my husband's, a friend of his, you know, from Iraq.
Yeah, so that was actually one of the reasons this whole controversy kind of piqued my interest. It was because I have a guy who I was very privileged to serve with in the 101st. Some of you may have heard of him. His name is Noah Galloway, and he was also injured in Iraq, and he came back home, and just like these guys, not only did he rehabilitate himself mentally and physically, but he far succeeded it, and at this point, he's basically like a public figure.
He's a complete rock star.
He literally is. He's like a famous guy.
He's amazing.
I mean, he's literally like, I can tell people, I know this famous guy.
And you're instantly cooler, right?
Exactly. I am cooler. I mean, if you're listening right now, Noah, I just want you to know you've made me cooler.
Definitely.
And so Noah was actually featured on the cover of Men's Health magazine last November, which is amazing. And I think it's the first time, I believe they said it was the first time they've ever had, like, air quotes, average guy come and be on the cover of Men's Health magazine, right? And how it started was like an internet voting campaign is what they did, right? So these guys all basically signed up for it, I guess. And then
it wasn't solely voted on votes, but it was significant.
Right. Well, the initial...
That wasn't the only criteria.
Yeah, the initial thing of it was votes, right? So people got on there and voted for the person that they thought was the
most fit.
The man's man of men.
The
right?
Bamf.
And Bamf. Why are you going to talk about other men like that? I'm sitting right here. I'm your husband.
But it's understood that you're my Bamf.
You know, Noah and I are going to have a talk about this. This is...
upsetting.
I'm going to look at your history. You've been looking at pictures of Noah.
And Alex Minsky.
All right. So anyways. So Noah was selected, right? He got voted up and did awesome, and everybody loved his story. And he's like an incredibly fit guy. If you know anything about him, you know, he's done like all these Spartan races, all this crazy stuff that I can't even imagine doing. Yeah, kilt. Yeah, he looks awesome in his kilt. I know. And he's got like the big lumberjack beard. Although my wife told me that he recently shaved it, which I'm pretty sure he'll come around and he'll grow that thing back out like he should. He knows it. But so Noah did awesome, you know, and he won this thing. You know, he came down to like 3 final guys. And he was one of them, and Men's Health chose him. And one of the reasons I loved it so much was because I remember reading an article, and I can't remember if it was after he was selected or even before, but they were asking him questions, and he specifically said, you know, I don't want to be chosen because of my injuries. I want to be chosen because of who I am now, who I've become, what I've overcome. And from the way that they wrote the article in the Men's Health, if you actually read the Men's Health article,
which I'm sure is still out there.
It is. I'm sure you can go to Men's Health and find it. But it really sounded like that's why they chose him, was because of just everything that he's accomplished and who he is. And I personally like him. I've never met him, but I personally like him because of his sense of humor.
Right. Sense of humor is outstanding to me. Specifically when he, posted about his little kids and the photo of them with the crash helmet. And oh my God, it's so funny.
And what's funny about him too is if you don't know Noah but you followed him, then you're only getting half of his sense of humor. Because for those of you that do know Noah, you know that the delivery in his humor is half of actually hearing him. I mean, just the way that he says it. I mean, the whole Alabama accent and everything that he has going on.
I remember the story you told me where you were like holding all of this like ammo, and he was like, "I don't want to be next to Mac."
I don't remember that one, but there's a bunch of them. Actually, I probably never actually told you, but Noah was probably the first one that actually like kind of spoke to me a little bit about fitness in a nutritional sense. Yeah, I'll never forget this.
Near and dear to my heart.
I'll never forget this. You guys know my wife's like a trainer and a big fitness CrossFit guru. So I'll never forget this. We were doing a mission in Iraq, and we were actually... They were doing this big dinar exchange, right? So their money, they had some new money printed without Saddam's face on it, and we had to start going to the banks and spending the night in the banks to sort of safeguard the the changeover, the transfer of this money. So I'll never forget, Noah was actually a mortarman for a while, and then they ended up, we had no reason for mortars at that point, so they actually pulled him into the team. So he was in my team, and we would go and spend the night at the bank, and I remember we would sit up like all night, and he would sit there and talk to me about just all this different nutritional stuff. And he's the guy that actually introduced me to Bill Phillips, and I got all into the the high intensity.
Oh my God, I forgot about Bill Phillips.
Right,
that was a while ago.
He was the one that introduced
Poor
me to
guy.
Bill
I'm
Phillips.
sure he's still amazing. I just mean he hasn't been like on the forefront of my mind.
Well, if one thing,
sorry, Bill.
At least you, I, and Noah know who he is. I mean, that's
something.
That's something, So, anyways, Noah really was kind of the one that started to, introduce me to real nutrition and all that, because the Army doesn't teach you that stuff. You don't know anything in the Army. They just show you, they just tell you, oh yeah, go out there and run 5 miles a day and you'll be fine.
It's basics, It blew me away. I will never forget as long as I live. I remember, my husband and I met, I knew I wanted to join the Army before I met my husband, but I didn't know exactly how to do all that, and I found out by accident by a trainer I worked with. Really, really long story nobody really cares about. But the point of my story is I remember talking to my husband, upon graduation of basic training, because he came to visit me in AIT and, Fort Lost in the Woods, and I was like, I went through basic training and I did really well, but I don't feel like I know how to do a lot of things, and it's just because the Army just focuses on basics, but I digress.
It's true, though. That's how basic is for everybody. You go to basic training, and you come out, and you know how to do drill and ceremony, and that's it. That's it. That's all you learn in basic training. I mean, seriously.
I don't know. And it's just, I don't know. It's just one of the things for me. I mean, I've only been in the reserves, and I don't know. I went to, like WLC, and, I was amazing at the time, with like drill and ceremony. But that's one of those things I don't do very often. I only, participate in the Army 1 week in a month, sometimes more if I'm on, orders. But I don't know. Things like that always blow me away because I don't remember certain things because I don't practice them. I was never active.
Of course you would never. Well, of course you wouldn't. I mean, and even in basic, I mean... Come on, nobody learns anything in basic. They're like, all right, we're gonna do land nav. Can you guys count to 8? Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There you go. Now you can do an 8-digit grid.
Shoot an azimuth and you're good.
Right? Yeah. Just go out there with a compass, point it towards that light pole. Congratulations, you can shoot an azimuth. They didn't teach you anything in basic training. But it was what it was. I guess. I think actually, not to say anything negative, but my wife was in amazing shape when she left for basic training. I think she was actually in worse shape when she came home.
Oh my God, the Army room.
Right?
When I joined the Army, I was a full-time personal trainer, and I've been doing CrossFit for at least a year and a half at that point, at least, if not more. And I'll forever have Rick Martinez and Alamo CrossFit to thank for that. But when I went into basic training, I was 36, and I was amazing, and I scored so much higher than everybody. It was like half my age. And by the time my husband came to visit me in AIT, oh my gosh, I had lost like so much muscle mass, right?
Yeah. No, I mean,
thanks.
I'm telling you what you told me, lady. Listen up. You told me this, all right?
Mm-hmm.
You were the one that was all bent out of shape about it. And then I remember you got home and you like talked to some friends and they were like, well, because they're all trainers, so it's all ego and everything inside. I mean, the gym is just basically like a big nightclub that they all work in during the day.
I miss it.
So awesome. They're all like, so did you guys do any physical activity out there?
Or what?
She was all bent out of shape, we were just kind of like still dating at the time.
I'd lost all like that, whatever. Anyway. Anyway, aside from that, the Army has been awesome. But aside from that, anyway, we're very lucky, though, that Noah, your friend, who I have not met, I'm really excited, had actually listened to our first podcast. And...
yeah, and I sent him a message earlier, and our plan initially was we were just going to get on here and just call him out. Since he listened to the first one, we figured, well,
he's in the Army.
Maybe he'll listen to the second one.
Just put him on the spot.
And then if we say, yeah, if Noah actually cares about veterans and all that, he'll actually give us a call and call in and whatnot.
And if he doesn't, he
won't. But he actually responded to my message really quickly, and he was like,
so awesome.
Let's set up a date. So we're definitely gonna set up with a date with Noah, and hopefully sometime this week we'll actually have a real interview with Noah. It'll be a first one, which I really couldn't think of a better person to have as a first interview.
I'm
because
so excited.
I haven't actually talked to Noah in quite a long time, aside from little comments here and there on Facebook. So it'll be great to catch up with him. It'll be great for you guys to hear his Alabama accent and all the joking that comes along with him, because he's an incredibly witty guy. So I have to give him that, because he can really shoot from the hip with the jokes. So it ought to be a really fun time. Yeah, it ought to be a really fun time.
Whenever that happens, it'll be a good episode.
And hopefully it'll be in the next couple of days. I'll send him back a message as soon as we finish this podcast. I'll be sending him a message back. And hopefully we can set it up for like Wednesday or Thursday or something and have it out to you guys pretty soon.
And of course, my husband's still working on his biography when I go on my little combat camera mission next week. And the GI Bill. I'd definitely love to talk about the GI Bill.
Yeah, we would. Yeah, in the next couple episodes, we definitely want to get a little bit more into the nitty gritty of why we started this thing. And actually give
real information, right?
And because we both have experience with the GI Bill. Like I said, I've gotten my bachelor's degree. My wife and her famous semester of all B's.
4 B's.
Still unpaid for.
So exhausting.
Even with the GI Bill, still unpaid for, like I said.
But why?
We used it on other necessities.
Beer. But it was awesome.
But anyways, we
don't
definitely...
think I bought a single book. No, I did. You're the one who never bought a single book.
I'm going to tell you right now, I went through most of college without paying for most of my books. I probably spent less than $500 my entire college, whatever you call it, career on books. I spent less than $500. So it was super easy to do, and it's little pointers like that we definitely want to send out to you guys. I don't really want to get too deep into the details. Yeah, I don't want to get into like form numbers
unless somebody specifically
craziness
asks.
like that. But you can definitely reach out to us and email us at. You can go to our website vetscafe.com, or you can just email us directly at themax THEMACS at vetscafe.com. Or you can find us on Facebook. We have a fan page, the Veterans Cafe. You can look that up and like our page and send us a message directly.
We're really even just that too, but like our individual pages. We're on Google Plus, we're on Instagram, we're all over the place.
Yeah, we're on Twitter, all that stuff. So just go to any of those. Just Google outright Veterans Cafe. I guarantee you'll find us. Veterans Cafe podcast, and you'll find us.
And then iTunes. We're going to be on iTunes soon, right?
Here in the next week or so, we have submitted our podcast to iTunes. So if you are one of those poor, lowly iPhone owners,
we used to have iPhones.
We did have an iPhone
back in the day.
Yeah. Well, I only had it for a while. I only had one iPhone. You were like the iPhone guru.
Well, that's because I kept breaking them and losing them and drowning them. And
so we will be on iTunes here pretty soon. We just submitted our podcast, so it takes usually a couple days to a week. So you should be able to subscribe to our feed on there. You can find us on Stitcher, or you can just go to our website and there's an RSS feed, or if you're for some reason linked into Libsyn, you can find us on Libsyn. But I will start putting some of these links for like Stitcher and all that on our website.
Oh,
yeah, I'll do it on the comments too, which is also on our website. So, but I'll have links to all that, so you guys can subscribe to our feed or just download individual podcasts. You can stream them, whatever is best for you. If you listen to anything, if you use apps like Double Twist, that's one of my favorites, Double Twist, for Android, then you can just put in our feed on it, the manual feed, the URL. It'll be podcast.vetscafe.com/RSS. which you can find on our website. Like I said, you just go to our website, find the little orange icon, the RSS icon, and you can just find that link right there. So, like we said, we are definitely looking forward to having Noah on, hopefully on our next podcast.
Noah Galloway.
Noah Galloway.
And I just want to thank everybody for the great responses and well wishes, on Facebook specifically. This is, a project that's near and dear to our heart and my husband's vision, and I'm very thankful.
Yeah, and for all you guys out there that are listening that aren't veterans or soldiers or anything like that, or even attached in any way to the military, we definitely do still appreciate you listening. We hope you enjoy it just as much as any veterans or soldiers listening.
And we do.
Yeah, we definitely love having you. And you know what? When we do have the opportunity, you guys can email us as well. And if we ever do have the opportunity for you to call in or anything like that, if you have any family members or anything, you can call in and tell us about them as well. We would love to hear from you too. So for those of you guys that want to know a little bit about Noah, you can go to noahgalloway.com. I'm not going to spell out his name. I'll let him do it whenever we have him on the show.
And remember, of course, I mentioned, Alex Minsky and Michael Stokes.
Right. And definitely you can Google those two if you want to know a little bit more about the controversy. You want to see what we're talking about. You want to look at the pretty awesome photos that Michael Stokes has taken. You can just Google Michael Stokes or Google
and just
Alex
Minsky. Is just so motivating to me. So
yeah, so
thank him.
So definitely look it up and form your own opinion about the whole Facebook censorship thing. And if you feel like you need to say something about it, send us an email, themax@vetscafe.com. All right. So thanks for tuning in to the second episode of the Veterans Cafe podcast, and we look forward to hopefully talking to you guys next time with our first guest, Noah Galloway.
Bye!